Hi everyone, it's TheTidesChanging here, and welcome to part 2 of the speed build for Evergreen Estate. We're picking up where we left off last time and continuing on with the furnishing of this house. And I'll leave a link in the description to part 1 in case any of you stumbled across this part and still haven't seen the first one and want to check that out. But right now, moving on to furnishing the formal living area. This ends up being the most festive room in the house by far. It's where I end up putting the Christmas tree. I also end up putting red wallpaper up in it. And I didn't really put any other holiday type decorations elsewhere in the house other than that centerpiece I put on the living room coffee table at the beginning of this part, which you may have seen. But yeah, I'm pretty sure other than that, I don't have Christmas decorations anywhere else in the house. Because again, I wanted to make it very easy to remove the holiday type stuff if you want to use this house outside of Christmas time. Here's where I put the Christmas tree, and I also stuck a bunch of those gift items around it, which I think came with the holiday celebration pack this year. I don't think they were there last year, but I saw this as being a house for a very large family, so I figured there would be a lot of presents around the tree. And I did think about putting a fireplace in that spot instead of the Christmas tree, but for whatever reason I like the look of the Christmas tree more, plus I didn't really want to get rid of that window. Although if you're looking for something to put there instead, if you want to get rid of the Christmas tree, I think that would be a good spot to add in a fireplace. Because I actually didn't put any fireplaces anywhere in this house, and this is probably a house that should have one in it somewhere, but I just couldn't think of a good spot to put one in, and I did really want to use that cool modern one that came with Get Together, but I didn't think that really would fit into this house very well. But hopefully I'll do a modern house in the future where I can put that fireplace to use. Here in front of the window I'm putting in a piano. I thought that would really fit in well with the formal look I wanted for this room. Although I didn't want this room to look super formal, which is why I used that red wallpaper on a lot of the room instead of having paneling all the way around it. That's also where I thought about putting the Christmas tree if I were to put a fireplace where it is instead. Now I'm just trying to figure out some paintings and such to put around the room. I did use that large portrait that came with Get Together. I thought about putting another one on that wall, but no, I thought it was a bit too much for that space. And I do end up putting an accent table underneath that painting. I thought about putting a couch under there, but then I was like, wait, you just have a couch looking at the back of another couch, which just seems very silly. So I thought an accent table would be a much better object to put there. I was looking for some kind of statue to put on top of that, because usually I tend to go for putting plants on tables like that. But I wanted to use a statue that I haven't used much, although as you can see there, I was like, oh, we can have plants on either side of that, but then I ended up not doing that because, again, that would have just been too many plants. I also stuck a shoe rack underneath of it, which might seem really odd, but I feel like there needed to be something underneath of it, and there is a door right next to that going out to a deck, so I figured it could be kind of realistic, like a shoe rack they would put their shoes on when they come inside from going out on that deck. That's it for that room, so now moving on to what I imagined as the guest bedroom. Although there's not really a need for guest bedrooms in The Sims. This bedroom would be handy if there was a young adult or maybe another couple living in the house, or if there's an elderly family member living with a family who's in here. So there definitely are uses for this room. You could also personalize it a bit more and use it as a kid or a teen bedroom. Another idea is that you could just make it not a bedroom at all and just use it as a home gym since there is a bathroom right off of it. That would be pretty handy. I did use purple wallpaper at first, but I do change that because I've mixed purple wallpaper with this particular bed quite a bit, so I figure I should probably use a different kind of wall color in here. And just adding a few things onto the dresser. I didn't add too much because this was intended to be like a guest room, so I didn't think there would be a lot of knickknacks and such laying on top of the dresser. Here's where I went and changed the wall color. As you can see, I also used the walk-in closet that came with Get Together, and I really like that they added those in. Because before, if you wanted to look of a closet, you had to put doors in and then hang up clothes inside that and stuff. But it's just really cool that they have an item you can use to get a realistic looking closet now. I ended up putting one of those in each of the bedrooms, and I think the guest bedroom's actually done now. So now moving on to the guest bathroom, and I got pretty stuck on what to do for the color scheme in here. At first I was going for the tile that came with Get Together. I feel like I've said Get Together so much in the speed build, but I was just exploring some of the new items and putting them to use. First I used those tiles, but they didn't really fit in with the style I wanted for this house, and plus they're kind of busy, so I just went with these simpler gray tiles. Although I do change up the flooring and the wallpaper that I've used in here in a little bit because I wasn't completely happy with it. For whatever reason, when I was furnishing this house, I just wasn't in the mood to furnish bathrooms, and bathrooms usually are one of my least favorite rooms to furnish. I don't know, I just don't enjoy furnishing them as much as other rooms. I'd say bedrooms are probably my favorite room to furnish because you can have a lot of fun with personalizing it for Sims, and I always like to imagine what kind of Sim would have each bedroom and just furnish it to their taste. But you can't really do that as much with bathrooms, although I guess if you're making a kid's bathroom, you could put some fun decor around it to go with that. But yeah, this is the wallpaper that I ended up deciding on, and then I did use the flooring. I think it was the same flooring I used in the kitchen in here. And I do like this look, and I ended up using this same combination of wallpaper and flooring in all the bathrooms just because I didn't really want to think about what other kinds of wallpapers and floorings to use because, again, I just wasn't really in a bathroom furnishing kind of a mood, so I just wanted to make furnishing the bathrooms as quick and easy as possible. Bathroom's done, so now moving on to this little study room over here. I was going to use those bookshelves at first, but I do end up going back to the larger ones that I had because I liked how they filled up all the space along that wall. Had orange at first, but I decided to go with this cranberry color, and I actually really like this cranberry color. I used it in other rooms. I used it in a couple of the other bedrooms, I think. And for this office, I went with a very grand business kind of a look. I guess this is an office where whatever Sim used it would have home meetings, so I do put a couple of chairs across from it. Although those could also be reading chairs since there are some bookshelves in here. This was another room that I ended up getting really stuck on, and I had quite a large chunk that I cut out with the furnishing of this room because I was just trying stuff and then I didn't like it. I ended up just going back to what I had in the first place. I also got pretty stuck with the formal living room because I had a rather large chunk that I cut out of that as well, just because I spent the longest time trying to figure out the wallpaper in that room before I finally settled on what I ended up having. That just happens to me sometimes where I'm furnishing and nothing looks right to me, so I'm just sitting there changing things, trying to get it to look right, and no matter what I do, it just doesn't seem to look good enough to me, and then eventually I do something that actually looks pretty decent and I just go with it. At this point, I wasn't very happy with how the office looked. I put in the panel wallpaper to try to add some interest to the room, but it just doesn't really look that good, doesn't really fit in that well. And I also went back to that orange wallpaper, and that I believe is what I end up keeping in this room just to make it a bit brighter looking. I also stuck some certificates up on the wall. I thought that'd be something pretty good to have in an office, like maybe it was a college degree or something like that. Although I think that particular item was supposed to be a certificate of medicine or something like that, but we can imagine it as a college degree. I think that's actually how I ended up leaving the study. So now moving up to the landing area that's upstairs, which has a foosball table in it, because I wanted to have a foosball table somewhere in this house, so that's just where I ended up sticking it. And I made the whole area up here as you go towards the kids' bedroom sort of a kids' hangout area. I thought that'd be fun to have in there, so I didn't put a lot of fancy type decorations up in this area. At first I had that spooky day. I keep saying spooky day instead of spooky stuff. I think I did that in the last part. But anyway, I decided against having that on that wall, and I just used one of the cool kitchen posters instead. And I also used one of those cool egg chairs. I actually used a couple of those in these areas. I really like those chairs. Maybe almost as much as the bubble chairs. I'll probably be using those quite a bit from now on. That whole area is pretty much done though. I figured out what to do with that pretty quickly. I'm just figuring out what kind of rug I want to put in here. So I sized up that smaller one. It fit in there pretty nicely. And I still have to furnish the area at the top of the stairs. I wasn't really sure what to do with that. And also, as you can see, there's this really annoying bit of roof sticking through, and I did not know how to get rid of that. I tried to figure it out, but I just couldn't get rid of it. And it has to do with the area above the foyer being open, so not a whole lot I could really do. Like, the roof is going right through that couch, which just looks so weird, but I thought a couch would be something good to have there, so I guess that's something you're just gonna have to ignore a bit. Although when you have the walls on cutaway, the roof goes away, so it's fine then. That whole area is done, so moving down here to furnishing this deck, which I completely forgot to do when I was furnishing the living area. I didn't put a whole lot there, just a couch, an easel, and some plants, and then I'm also furnishing this little deck out here. There wasn't really a lot of room for anything. I did have another easel out there at first, but I thought it looked a bit too crowded, so I just put some plants there instead. And that's it. So now I'm actually going to be starting on the bathrooms and the bedrooms that are up here. And I really do like how the bedrooms turned out in this house, especially the first teen bedroom that I furnished. I think that one might be my favorite, and then after that I guess it's the master bedroom. Here I was just marking off the spaces for where the walk-in closets were gonna be. I'm almost done with doing that. Just have to get the closet in the nursery over here. And I think I actually started with furnishing the bathroom first, just because I wanted to get the bathroom over with and save the best for last, which is of course the bedroom. So, like I said before, I was kind of lazy with it, and I just used the same flooring and wallpaper. Well, I was trying to use a different colored wallpaper at first, but in the end I ended up using the same dark blue that I had downstairs, because I just thought it looked a little bit better. Here I'm just adding a bunch of clutter to the top of the counters, and this is a method of doing this that I found out about, I guess, a couple of months ago. Because if you watch some of my older Let's Builds or previous ones, you might have seen me sticking a whole ton of soap bottles onto the counters and then just raising stuff on top of it. And I did that for the longest time, but then I realized, wait, if I let something snap on the counter and then move it, it'll stay at that height. So what I did in this build was I just pulled the counters away and then snapped the objects to them and then moved them to where I wanted to be. And that's a really much quicker and easier way of doing it. It also allows you to place the objects in a more interesting and realistic way, instead of just letting them snap wherever they actually snap. And in case you didn't know this, you do have to use the Move Objects cheat in order to do that, and that cheat is bb.moveobjects. And to open up the cheat console, you just type in Shift, Control, and C at the same time. I did end up decluttering those counters a bit though, and I believe at this point the bathroom's just about done. Yeah, it is. So, oh, never mind. I was sticking a light up there, just a sneaky light to make it look a bit brighter. But that's actually it for the bathroom, so now moving on to the first teen bedroom, and I imagine this as being a bedroom for a sim who is an aspiring DJ, which is why you had the DJ booth in there. I just thought that that would be a really cool room to do, since this is the first get-together speed build that I've done that wasn't a starter, where I could really just use whatever I wanted. I really like how this room turned out, and it came together pretty quickly. I did think about putting a dance floor in there, but there just wasn't really enough space for a dance floor. And the Sims should still be able to get into that bed. I'm not sure if they can get into the walk-in closet. I actually forgot to test that out, but they're pretty good at getting around, so maybe they can still get into that. If not, then there's plenty of other closets in the house that they can actually use. Now I'm just figuring out the whole decoration thing behind the DJ booth. Getting a plant over there, and then in this corner I put a mirror in. I do end up getting rid of that poster and stuff and just putting a bookshelf in that spot instead. I thought that would look a bit better in there. And that's actually pretty much it for this room. I don't think I really added much else in there after I finish up adjusting these posters and such that are over here. I want to put more in, but then I didn't want it to look too crowded, so that's actually how I ended up leaving it. And now moving on to the second bedroom, which I imagined as being for a sim who's into sports, but it is also a bit academic and just pretty organized. So I put a punching bag in that corner over there. I could have put some weightlifting equipment in, but I figured in a teen room there would probably be something cheaper, like a punching bag, rather than like a Bowflex kind of machine, which is quite expensive. I also added some mirrors behind the bed and put some columns on either side of them, just because I like to do something kind of interesting behind beds. And that is something I did a bit in The Sims 3, but I haven't really done in The Sims 4 much, and that's mainly because there weren't any columns that were small enough to look good on either side of the mirrors, but these columns that came with Get Together actually worked really well for that, so that's something I can now do again. Maybe I have done it in some Sims 4 houses. I can't remember. I know I did it quite a bit in The Sims 3. But now moving on to the desk area. And I was adding in some decorations around it. I put in a filing cabinet next to the desk, which might seem sort of odd, but that's because I wanted to have a surface that was higher up to put a TV on, and this kind of goes with my imagining the Sim as being pretty organized, like they have a filing cabinet to keep their papers and such together, which is way more organized than I am. I just liked how it looked having the TV on top of that, and the dresser that's about that height was a bit too wide to fit into that space. But I think that's pretty much it for that room, so now moving on to the kids' room. I didn't really have much of a theme in mind for this room. I guess because of the bed it's sort of a dinosaur theme, but I didn't completely go with that theme for this room. I did mix these two wallpapers just because they go with the colors that are on the bed. I also added some of that stone paper on that area that sticks out a bit. I thought that looked pretty nice, and I also like the detail of having 3 different kinds of wallpapers in this room. Also went back and replaced the computer in that other bedroom with one that was a bit nicer. And now I'm back to putting more furniture in this room, so I'm just adding in a little desk area in here where they can work on their homework and so on. Oh, I just realized that I didn't say anything about where I place this lot. I did build it on the empty 40 by 30 lot that's in the same neighborhood as the Shrieking Llama. It probably would have been better if I had built it on a lot where the 30 tile wide part was in the front, just because there's a lot of empty space on the sides, and it would have been better to have that space in the back, so maybe I could have added a pool in. But I didn't want to go deleting there was one household that was on a lot like that, but I didn't want to delete it and make it so you had to remove one of the families in order to place this lot in this world. I just thought it'd be better to use the empty one. But I'm getting a bunch of decorations in this room, and it's actually just about done. I'm just putting the finishing touches on and figuring out all the decorations and so on. And I try to fit in as many different activities as I could into this room. I did really want to add in a Don't Wake the Llama table, but there just wasn't enough room for that in here, unfortunately. Even though this is a pretty large house, the bedrooms really aren't that big. And I think this bedroom's actually just about done. So now moving on to the nursery. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's what I ended up furnishing next. And I try to go with a light color scheme for this room. If you don't have a need for a nursery, you could of course turn this into another kid's bedroom. Or I was also thinking about making this a playroom instead of a nursery, but I don't really do nurseries very often, so I figured I should probably put that into this house. But yeah, you could use this as a playroom and put a Don't Wake the Llama table in it and a whole bunch of other toys and stuff. But that would mean that the kid with the kid's bedroom would have pretty much 2 rooms to themselves, which would be kind of like favoritism. But you could also use it as a playroom and a teen hangout. I don't know, you could maybe combine the 2 into this space, although it's not really that big. But getting back to what I'm doing in this room, just adding in a giant teddy bear, I thought that'd be really cute to have in the nursery. Also, I was going to put in a chair there, but then I thought that this spot near the bookshelf would probably be a better space to put it in. That way it wouldn't look so weird having a light in there, because that area really did need a light. It just looked kind of weird having a random wall light above the bear. Putting a few decorations on top of that bookshelf. And overall, this room is furnished in a fairly simple manner. I really didn't put a ton in it. I didn't really think there needed to be a lot in it because it is just a nursery. Like, the baby's not gonna get up and start playing with stuff, because babies in this game really don't do much of anything. I thought that wallpaper would go a bit better with the rest of the room than what I had originally. And the only thing I have left to do in this room is just finishing putting up these little portraits all over the room. And I tried to switch up the colors I used on the frame so that it didn't look like I was just repeating the same one over and over again. And I think, oh no, changing the color of this too. And then that is it for that room. So I moved on to the master suite and I'm working on the bathroom first. Again, I just wanted to get the bathroom over with and save the bedroom for last. I did want to make this bathroom look a bit fancier than the other ones, but I ended up not really making it look that much nicer than the other ones. I just kind of made it in the same, with the same kind of plumbing and all of that I used in the other ones. Although I did make a separate room for the toilet, so that is one thing I did to make this bathroom seem a bit nicer. So I just moved the wall that I had for the closet back a bit and then just used that to create a 2x1 room for the toilet and then had the counters against the wall where the closet is. I wasn't really liking how the counters I used at first looked anymore, so I did go through and change the counters that I used in all of the bedrooms to these base game ones, or bathrooms actually, not bedrooms. Yeah, so I think this looks a bit better than what I had originally, and doing the same thing in each bathroom did make them quite a bit easier to furnish. So now I'm just going through and adding in clutter on top of the sinks like I did in the other bathrooms. Thought some incense would be a nice touch. Oh, never mind. I didn't actually keep the incense. I thought I did. I don't know what I just went back over there and did. Okay, so I think that's pretty much all the objects that I put on top of here. So I'm just adding in a little cabinet. And then after that, this bathroom is done. So I can actually move on to the bedroom. This is, of course, the last room I furnished in the house, and it actually didn't take me that long to figure out what I wanted to do with it. Oh, I also added some stone to the nursery just to continue the theme I have of using stone in all the bedrooms. And this bedroom I gave a cozy, cabiny kind of a look with the red wallpaper, and then I also used this bed, and I ended up going with a flannel color for it, which just adds to that cozy feel that this bedroom has. And I really like how it looks. It's definitely quite a bit less modern than the other bedrooms. I didn't really put any decorations around the bed. I figured the stone wall near it was enough decoration. Also decided to add in an ottoman underneath of it. And it took me a little bit to figure out what kind of rug I wanted to use under the bed because not a lot of rugs went with the cover that I used on it. So I ended up just sticking with this one, which is pretty plain. And then over here, I put in a little desk area, which probably wasn't the best thing to use in the master bedroom, but I couldn't really think of what else to put there, so I figured why not make another office area so the Sims don't have to go downstairs to use the computer if they're already up here. I probably could have done a vanity type thing in here, but that's just what came to mind when I was doing this. There is also a little TV area on the other side of the room. I didn't put a dresser in this bedroom just because I figured it wasn't really necessary with having the walk-in closet in here. We are almost at the end of the building part, so I did just want to mention that there is a link to download this house in the description below. I also have some other information on there in case you want to find it in-game. That's all I really wanted to say, so I'm going to be leaving off here now. Merry Christmas to those of you who celebrate it, and to everyone else, happy holidays, and I hope you have an awesome day. And I also hope you enjoyed the rest of this video.